My entire life, I have believed that life is just destined to be hard. Like, it is always going to be difficult, and that only difficult things actually have value. Like, only tasks that are hard for you are valuable tasks that are worth your time or worth any money. And not even just money. This is not as simple as just business. This goes into working out or eating well, relationships, friendships, like every single aspect of my life. I have fed into this idea that if it wasn't hard, then it wasn't worth it, or that it really just should be hard and it shouldn't be easy. And honestly, a big part of me still believes this, even though logically to me it doesn't make sense anymore, and I actively am trying to live my life not aligned with that concept. So lately I have been really questioning this idea and trying to look back into where this idea came from in my life, why I still believe it, and specifically how it's impacting my ability to be successful in every aspect of my life to this day. Really, I just wanted to know why I'm constantly glorifying struggle and whether or not the easier path, the one that doesn't feel so hard, could actually be the right one. The more I thought about this idea, the more I realized that this concept is ingrained in so many areas of my life. Like, even thinking about doing a big declutter. We're literally about to move out of this apartment, we're downsizing, and I want to get rid of so much stuff. But instead of just like starting to get rid of stuff, starting to list stuff on Facebook Marketplace to sell, bringing stuff to Goodwill to donate, I constantly am debating doing these like dramatic challenges. Like, let me do a 30-day declutter. Let me do a XYZ whatever. Let me try to donate 5 things a day. And I saw this video the other day where this girl, instead of doing a 30-day declutter, she just did a 1-day declutter. Like, she went through every aspect of the 30-day declutter in 1 day and just did it all. And now, while I might not be able to do all of that because of like energy issues with having chronic illness and other things that impact my ability to like stand upright for a while, like POTS, I definitely could do a 30-day declutter in many less days. And at this point, I don't even have 30 days, so that's not an option. Which then started to get me to think about the concept of 75 hard and why I constantly become obsessed with the idea of doing 75 hard over and over again. Because for me, it's really just about this challenge concept that makes me like it so much, because it feels hard, it feels difficult, it requires consistency and discipline. And it's not that I don't want those traits in my life, but why can I not embody those traits and embody some of the aspects of 75 hard or a 30-day declutter in my daily life and honestly end up getting the same results with a lot less effort? I had a business strategy meeting with one of my clients who is a business coach the other day, and it was eye-opening, mainly because I had this huge realization that this struggle that I'm talking about, this concept of thinking everything has to be difficult and going the most difficult route in all of my life endeavors, has been around for quite a while. Like, I knew it had been around for a while, but I started realizing that this goes all the way back to like my childhood, because I grew up with a single mom and 2 sisters. There were 3 of us, and as I've talked about before, one of my sisters dealt with a drug addiction and is now in prison. So our life was not the most easy growing up, and I constantly heard that things were just hard and they were going to be hard. And it's not that that wasn't true or that like there was anything wrong with stating that, because in some ways that was our reality, that life was just hard and it was going to continue to be hard, and pretending that it wasn't going to be hard, like, I don't really know if that would have gotten us anywhere either. But I started to embody this idea that life was just hard, and taking that with me into my career, which then led me down the whole rabbit hole of being miserable at my job and clearly quitting my job and starting my own business. And when I quit my job, my biggest issue that I had with it, the thing that really drove me nuts, was the fact that it was a consulting company. So I had to track every single one of my hours, and I had to specify where that time went, specify if it went to a specific project. And I really struggled with this concept of being like brutally honest, like so super honest, that I would literally take like a 5-minute break to go to the bathroom, and I would cut that out of the time that I spent on a project, which is like totally not realistic. And honestly, no one was telling me I had to do that. I just became obsessive over this idea of time and being hyper productive all the time. And I honestly just took the very difficult, hard route in this job. So the ironic thing that I realized in this call the other day was that in my business, I literally do the same thing. Like, I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm constantly trying to to hit an hours goal. Our goal right now has been, hit 25 to 30 billable hours per week. This concept of billable hours is literally like, I hated it in consulting. I hated it so much. We had to hit a certain utilization rate. It's like we were machines. It felt like everything I learned in my engineering degree about factories and production and efficiency was being applied to me as a person in a company as like a human being, which was just absolutely miserable. Like I was not enjoying that. All right, I gotta go take out this tea bag. This is barley tea from Korea, and you leave that tea bag in there, whew, it gets really, 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 really strong really, really fast. The irony of all of this to me is the fact that when I quit my job, I was trying to chase this idea of freedom, and I achieved that concept of freedom. I do have a lot of time freedom and flexibility in my day, and I'm able to go to a workout class midday or whatever. Like I can do all of those things, and I'm super grateful and happy that I have that. But at the same time, I also created my own type of handcuffs, my own shackles that I have to wear every day by taking the concept of struggle that I had in my old job, what I considered to be a struggle and to be hard, and I just applied it to myself in my business. So is that really gonna get me anywhere? I just built another hard and unsustainable path for myself that if I don't get out of this path, like I may be having success right now, but the only way to get any more success and to actually grow this in a sustainable way would be to leave this path and try something different. If I stay on this path, my only option for it is just to literally work more hours and grind more, which is the opposite of what I obviously want to do. And this is something that, again, we do in every aspect of our lives. I'm currently doing this in my own fitness aspect of my life. I've done it in relationships. I've done it in friendships. I constantly pick the hard path, the difficult path, the struggle path, because that's honestly all I know. And if I'm not actively struggling, I feel like I'm not going anywhere, which is just so far from the truth. And I see it because I see it in my clients who have success, that they are not doing that and they're much more successful than me. So clearly I'm doing something wrong. Something that came up in that strategy business coaching call I had earlier this week was the idea that I might be undervaluing things that I am able to do easily because they come easily to me. And this is, again, something that literally applies to every area of life. We constantly are seeing on social media people struggling, doing harder things, doing new challenges. And as much as I'm okay with the occasional challenge, and obviously I'm super down to try something new and try something harder, a lot of times we always are just looking for the next hard thing, the next challenge to try, the next way to reinvent ourselves, which make sure to subscribe and watch the next video because it's actually going to be very much on the topic of reinventing yourself constantly over and over again. And by doing so, we honestly are undervaluing the skills that we currently have, the things that we're currently good at, and considering them like not worth pursuing, not worth doing because they're easy. But the funny thing is that these things are easy to us, but they're not necessarily easy to someone else. The thing you might be doing that's very easy to you may be the thing that someone else is trying to do a challenge to achieve. And it was once I realized that in some areas of my life, I stopped trying to do things that just didn't really align with me. For example, I've always wanted to run, and I'm terrible at running, like terrible at running. And looking back, I was recently diagnosed with POTS. Have I had POTS this whole time? And is that a big reason why running for me was absolutely horrendous? But something like yoga was way more sustainable, or something like aerial where I'm constantly going upside down. Even though it might objectively seem harder to most people, like that required more initial skill and learning these basic techniques and things like that versus just putting on some shoes and running. For me, it was way easier. So instead of looking down on myself of like, oh, I'll never be able to run a mile, I'll never be able to run a marathon, I'll never even be able to run a mile, like I said, so that's silly. But what I can say is that I'm able to do inverts in the air on the silks. I'm able to do drops. I'm able to climb up 20 feet in the air and not be afraid for the most part. And those are things that not everybody can say. So instead of being hard on myself and being like, oh, I just wish I could run though, or I wish I could, I don't even know, go to like an intense bar class, but the cardio for that is just, I just don't have the skills to do it. Doesn't mean I'll never get them, but it also doesn't mean that what I am capable of doing currently is too easy and not worth continuing. I think we could all be a bit better at looking internally and asking ourselves, what are we good at? What comes easily to us? us, and then pursuing those things. Why are we constantly trying to pursue the harder path? Why can't we just take the path that actually comes easier to us? So my goal here is to stop undervaluing things that come easy to me because I'm trying to prove my self-worth by showing that I can do hard things, because the irony of that is that the things that come easy to me are actually very hard to other people, and I'm already showing my worth by doing those things. We all have our own skills, our own strengths, our own weaknesses, and instead of trying to force improving on our weaknesses, why don't we just lean into our strengths? Because in my opinion, that is like the definition of making things easy. So after really thinking all of this over, I started wondering if this obsession with doing hard things was extending past the idea of work. I feel like we constantly talk about hustle culture and capitalism and trying to shift this narrative that we all have to work hard and grind 24/7. But I don't hear as many people talking about this idea when it comes to your health or your relationships or even just your hobbies. Usually those ideas are more perpetuated in a whole different narrative and concept when it comes to doing too much. And usually it's more about like disordered eating or toxic relationships and toxic productivity. And while those are all still related to this topic, I'm starting to realize that for me, a lot of it connects back to this idea of having to always make everything we do be hard. And the more I started to look around and analyze the people in my life or even just on social media that I considered to be successful, the more I realized that most of these people were just leaning into the things that they themselves were good at and that came easy to them instead of trying to reinvent the wheel and do the hardest thing. And I want to clarify here, this does not mean that I'm saying that we can just not like work hard and not put effort in. This isn't about this idea of being able to just like wake up and exist and things come to you. As much as I like believe in the concept of manifestation, I also believe in the concept of manifestation backed by you actually putting effort into whatever it is you're trying to manifest. This is more about the idea that we don't have to put effort into something that literally just doesn't come easy to us. It is so much more important to initially think about what you feel aligned with, what comes easy to you, what things you yourself are good at. Talk to people around you and ask them what they consider to be your strengths, and then ask yourself as well. It's actually quite interesting to do this because you'll notice that the things that you say are actually quite different from the things other people say. So that's a really good exercise too. Just basically stop ignoring your natural strengths because they feel easy and stop glorifying the hard path. And I'm really saying this to myself right now. The exercise I'm doing to really try to embody this in my life going forward since I've had this realization is to work through all of the things in my life that I have been wanting to get better at, that I've been trying to improve on, and see where I am skewing what I'm trying to do into the hard path and not leaning into the things that come easy to me. But for me with Japanese, that looks like not trying to force myself to do something like Anki decks that are not really working for me. I'd been trying to do these like grammar-based Anki decks, and I would like go on and then off and go on and then off and then just really not get into it, and instead focus on watching things that are helping me actually learn and doing decks that are aligned with like whatever I'm interested at the moment. So getting vocab decks focused on certain areas of words that I am actively interested in learning instead of forcing something that's just really not working for me. For aerial, that looks like not trying to do moves that have anything to do with doing splits, because splits just don't come easy to me. And while I still am trying to work on improving my splits, I'm not making my entire focus on my aerial journey to be about trying to get the splits and being able to do splits in the air when that's just not my thing. I'm much better at spinning and doing more dynamic type, flowy type of movements than doing like split based moves where you just like sit in the splits for 10 seconds. Like that's just not my thing. And for my business, what this looks like is focusing on the things that do come easily to me and trying to build a business around that. Structuring my business around me being able to live in my zone of genius, which is something I've talked about before from an amazing book that I read. I actually made a video about it. I'll link it down below for you guys, but focus on your zone of genius and planning out how I can structure my business and get to the income goals that I want to get to in my personal life and in my business based off of those things that come easily to me. So I'm challenging all of us, especially myself, to focus on the middle ground of finding things that come easy to you, but also putting in the hard work and putting in the time to work on those things that already come easy to you. Because the more I'm talking with people that are successful, the more I'm realizing that that is how they have found success, by taking the things that come easy to them, putting the time and the effort into those things, and voila, there's their results, which makes a lot of sense the more you think about it. Like, it just sounds obvious, but for me, it's a difficult concept. Let me know in the comments down below what thing you have been trying to improve on that now after watching this video, you're thinking like, maybe I should just focus on the easy part, the thing that comes easy to me, and improving that instead of trying to go down this rabbit hole of working so hard and purposely trying to struggle and glamorizing the struggle just for the sake of doing it. I'm personally still trying to figure all this out myself, but my main takeaway is maybe it actually doesn't have to be hard to be worth it. If you're watching this video and you're wondering, well, what if I don't even know what I want to do? How am I supposed to figure out like where I'm pushing myself into the too hard zone and where I should be focusing on the easy zone if I don't even know like what the middle zone of what I want is? Then go watch this video next where I talk about the struggles of not knowing what I want and what I've been doing in the past really just couple of months to help me figure out what it is I actually want without focusing too much on what society tells me I'm supposed to want and more on what I actually want. But that's all I have for you guys in today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. I just had this intrusive thought that I was going to drop the microphone into the sink. That would not be good.